Okay, first question. How do you feel about Brad Gills being Randy's replacement after he passed away?
I think Brad Gills, he did an outstanding job filling in. Um, I think it was pretty difficult for him. I went to see Speak of the Devil tour. A lot of people are throwing lighters and stuff at him, and beer bottles and everything. I mean, a lot of people were upset with the fact that it was so quick to fill his shoes, so to speak. Ozzy really didn't have time to look. He had to have a live recording. It was contracted. This was a filler album. I think he did an awesome job of picking up and carrying on with Ozzy. They never did any Blizzard of Oz, Dire Madman material during the show. It was strictly Black Sabbath. So I really don't understand why people really got perturbed at it and was acting like the way they did towards Brad Gills. I mean, it had to be a hard thing for him too, the most difficult thing for him to fill that man's shoes, because ain't nobody can fill Randy Rose's shoes. And even today, ain't nobody can play like that man could.
Do you feel that's the reason why he didn't play anything, because he didn't think that Randy could, like, anybody could top Randy, and that's because that's the music that they made together?
I do believe that in some ways, and I also believe that, I mean, that was a big void for Ozzy and Sharon, his wife. That was a tragic ending to a very well-oiled machine. The band, I mean, everybody, it hurt everybody, even the fan base. But I think that's part of the reason that they didn't play that material. And another reason too, I think, is it would have been very difficult to play that material. I mean, they were supposed to release a live album with Randy Rose material, Blizzard of Oz and Dire Madman material, and this is what they did. They transitioned to Black Sabbath material and released a live album. So I think it was one of those reasons.
Do you feel that the band members at that time were suited to play that material? The live the live Black Sabbath?
No. You listen to Black Sabbath live material now, like their reunion live album, and you listen to Speak of the Devil, and I compare it, and it doesn't. There's no comparison. Black Sabbath is Black Sabbath with Ozzy. There's no fillers there. And Speak of the Devil, I mean, you got to have the band behind Ozzy. Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, and Tony Iommi. There's Speak of the Devil was good, but it was just a filler live album. That's all it was. I liked it. Don't get me wrong, but no, it ain't no Black Sabbath. It's Ozzy, Tony Iommi, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler. Okay. That's it.
Did you like Paranoid on the Osmond Cometh with Randy playing guitar?
Oh yeah, yeah, Bunny. That's very interesting. 'Cause you can listen to Paranoid, and they did Children of the Grave, Iron Man. I've heard Randy Rhoads play Iron Man. It just blows me away how he captures the riffs and everything with Tony Iommi, but he takes it to that next level. It's awesome. Paranoid's awesome with Randy Rhoads, and I really love Children of the Grave because he puts all those fillers in there where Tony Iommi doesn't. It's great.
What was your fondest memory of when the album came out? Like, time period and stuff with your friends?
We're 1982. I was in 8th grade. Yeah, 8th grade. Man, at that time, Ozzy was Ozzy was here. Everybody else was here, and when Randy Rhoads passed away, it was like Ozzy went down, and then here comes Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And there was a void there. We didn't know what was going to happen. I don't believe Ozzy knew what was going to happen. All we know is that he was contracted to have a live album. We knew he had live material with Randy Rhoads recorded, and it's like everybody's waiting. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? I mean, I wanted another album. I wanted a live album or a studio album, but we knew that wasn't gonna happen. And he talked about going on tour and recording Speak of the Devil, Black Sabbath material. And now you gotta remember too, at this same time, Ronnie James Dio was with Black Sabbath, and they recorded a live album, Live Evil, and so you had a match going on there. Whose is better? As Dio was doing his material with Black Sabbath and plus singing old Black Sabbath, and then Ozzy released Speak of the Devil, and there's no comparison with those albums. I don't even compare them. They're both awesome. They're both great. Dio singing Ozzy's lyrical content and music with older Black Sabbath is really good, but Ozzy's material with Black Sabbath is the epitome of heavy metal. When Speak of the Devil did come out finally, and I bought it. I bought the cassette first. I didn't see the album. I got to listen to it like 3 times, and the damn cassette tore up. And I was blown away because we never heard live Sabbath at any time. They never released a live album until a bootleg album come up, and it was called Black Sabbath Live, and it was recorded in mono. I heard it going to parties and stuff like that, and it sounded like shit. You couldn't hear it.
Okay.
They had songs on it like Sweet Leaf, Paranoid, Children of the Grave, Electric Funeral, and Symptoms of the Universe, but you couldn't really hear it. So when Black Sabbath, Speak of the Devil, Ozzy Speak of the Devil come out, and we got to really hear that. And I bought the LP and I wore that thing out just about. The one I have now is my second one. I left one of them at a party, but it was wore out, scratched up, beer all over it, whatever.
So Speak of the Devil and Live versus Evil, what songs do you feel that Dio did better than Ozzy versus if they would like to go head to head?
I like Dio's version of War Pigs more than Ozzy's. Dio has that different range and a different vocal than Ozzy does. I think Dio's vocal and voice is blacker than Ozzy's. There's just something about Ronnie James Dio's voice that he fit right into the band, Black Sabbath. The music that he wrote, and then being able to do Ozzy's material, Black Sabbath's old material. I liked the way he sang Black Sabbath. Kind of had it was like it's just unreal on how he sang that material.
That's crazy how much Dio and Ozzy, how much their lives intertwined.
Yeah, they were both very influential people back in that time, that music coming about. I mean, they were so close but yet so far apart. When Dio left went to Rainbow, and then went to Black Sabbath. Ozzy left Black Sabbath, formed his own solo career, so to speak. They're always right there next to each other.
Yeah.
One way or the other. And they both wrote the same black music, you would call it, back then. Heavy metal back then was, that's when it all started. That's when people talk about this music is it's the devil's music, and don't listen to this, and it's gonna change you and stuff. Back in my time, in my early teens, they called it black music, and then it got the term heavy metal, and that all generated from Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and then you came up with a Scorpion. Scorpion started out back in 1980. A lot of people don't know that they're that old. It was just a very good time for that music to come out. Because who the hell wanted to listen to disco? Who the hell wanted to listen to that pop shit? Fucking Duran Duran, Go-Go's and stuff like that.
It's basically when disco started fading away in the 80s.
And you, at this time, you also had MTV coming on the air. That's what really promoted heavy metal.
Old MTV.
Old MTV. I'm talking about no commercials, strictly video, music, kick-ass, and 99.9% of the time it was heavy metal music being played. And then they started going to this pansy ass music, Duran Duran, Boy George, and those videos started coming. So we had to wait till the wee hours of the night to listen to Headbangers Ball. It started like midnight, played to the wee hours of the morning. And I stayed up for all that. They had some clips that they would play once in a while with Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman material of live footage of Randy Rhoads and Ozzy. I don't ever remember any Speak of the Devil footage. Bark at the Moon videos. I think that was Ozzy's first videos. Bark at the Moon. I mean, he put a lot of money into that video. Awful lot. I remember him playing the death out of that thing. A lot of memories. Good stuff.
Bark at the Moon, released December 10th, 1983.
I remember waiting for that thing. When I went and bought that album, I had tickets to go to the show. Went to the show. I was just blown away by Jakey Lee. Nobody knew who the hell he was. He was from the band called Badlands, and they fucking sucked. That concert blew me away. He was awesome on guitar. He still is awesome on guitar. And so we still had all the original band members. The set at that live concert, it was unreal. Castles and stuff like that, and the backdrop and everything. Ozzy running around stage in a wolf costume. People throwing meat up on the stage and throwing whatever up on stage. Dead bats. That album, I could listen to every song on it except So Tired. I can't stand that music, that song. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of his ballads. He needs to stay heavy, do what he's supposed to do. Write heavy music, black music. I remember buying 2 or 3 posters about that same time, Bark at the Moon poster. There just wasn't very much merchandise out back then that you could buy. I mean, you couldn't go to a store and buy t-shirts and posters. Of course, you had a lot of magazines and everything too. It ain't like today where you can go to Hot Topics or Hole in the Wall and find all kinds of posters and t-shirts and stuff. We didn't have that stuff back then.
What was your first reaction to Jakey Lee also being from Dio's band?
It was really a big transition for me because I kept going back to listening to Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. I wasn't really listening to Speak of the Devil, and I wasn't really listening to Bark at the Moon. I think when it really filtered in was listening to the videos and stuff, watching the videos on MTV and stuff, and hearing people talk about them, what bands that he played in. So I bought Badlands and stuff, and the Dio era, there was a couple songs released, like an EP back then. I don't remember what it was called. I don't even know if you can get it, but he sounded really good with Dio. When he left Dio and went with Ozzy, I think it was Claude Snell that originally played with Dio after that. Jakey Lee is awesome on guitar. I liked Bark at the Moon. I liked every bit of it, but that's one song, So Tired of. Come on, man, please. It's like, we didn't have CDs, we had LPs and we had cassettes back then. Here, y'all, get this in your head. We couldn't just push forward You had to push forward and tape and or pick up the needle and move it. But Jake Lee, I wish him and Ozzy get back together, do another LP.
You got anything to say about Tommy Aldridge?
Tommy Aldridge, I think live solo.
I got to see him.
Live solo drummer. It blows me away the way that man can play. Blizzard of Oz come out. My aunt, I was 13 years old, not supposed to be in this place, but you've seen some video footage on the internet and stuff. It's called After Hours. This was in upstate New York. My aunt and her boyfriend took me to see Ozzy, Randy Rhoads, Tommy Aldridge from Quiet Riot. Randy and Quiet and Rudy Zarzo was together in the original Quiet Riot lineup. I was not supposed to go in this place because this was like an after-hour club, bar / little concert building and stuff. Maybe 250 people there max. I went with her, and when Tommy Aldridge played his solo, this ain't no shit now. They had hanging lamps, like chandeliers, old-timey place. And when he was beating on his drums with his hands, them damn things were just rocking back and forth. That whole place was like vibrating, because that stage was all wood and stuff. I was like, wow, I was blown away. I never seen anybody play drums like that before. He's awesome. I was kind of pissed off when he left Ozzy and went to Whitesnake. Don't get me wrong, I like Whitesnake, but come on, man. I guess it was more money. He's the epitome of metal drummers. You could compare him to Led Zeppelin's drummer, John Bonham, which to me is one of the best drummers ever. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. He was one of the best. Tommy Aldridge, though, I mean, he can carry his own, definitely.
Initial thought of Bark of the Moon when it first came out.
Sound quality. It sounded like it was recorded in a basement or something. I mean, I was kind of uncomfortable and unhappy with it. It sounded like it recorded in a tin box. I mean, now with they remastered and stuff, it sounds a hell of a lot better. You couldn't listen to it with headphones. It just sounded really tinny, all the music. You listen to it on the LP, that's the way it sounded. But if you listened to it on tape, you could push on my cassette deck that I had on my stereo. It was pretty expensive back then. You had a selection of metal and rock, classical, and stuff like that, and it kept the mono in with we had Dolby Surround. We didn't have Dolby Surround sound like today, but it sounded a hell of a lot better on a cassette. When you push the metal button, kind of filtered it, made it more bass in it.
1995, it was reissued. What did you think of the bonus track Spiders in the Night?
I heard that back in 83, 84, and I always wished that they would release it. There was no way to get it. Even European, going through magazines and stuff, and you always had where you could order albums and stuff like that. I even looked for it through that and I couldn't find it, so when they released it in 95, I love that song. I wish they could have put that on the album. I think it's cool. It sounds like Alice Cooper a little bit, you know. That there, I think, is like the old Ozzy Blizzard Project. That sounds like old Ozzy to me. That song's cool. I like it.
Then in 1992, they re-released it again, and they had another bonus track on there, One Up the B-side. Did you ever get a chance to listen to that?
Yeah, I heard that. That's pretty cool. It's kind of out there. I wish they did that live. That would have sounded really good live. I don't know why they never did. Even on a 45, I got a couple 45s of Bark at the Moon, the B-sides. I wish they would have released that in the B-side. That's a good song.
On the whole entire album, which do you think was the best track?
Waiting for Darkness, the very last song. I think that's the heart and soul of Ozzy. I always talk about the darkness, the blackness of heavy metal. That's what you want to hear. That's what I want to hear. That song is like the epitome of Ozzy Osbourne. I think that it kind of just that cleans the slate. I wish he could write a whole album off of that base of that song, because it's got that depth of Black Sabbath in it, and it's got the new Ozzy in it. That's my favorite song on that whole album. I wish they did a video of that. That would have been cool. I mean, like Bark at the Moon video, and then put Waiting for Darkness on next to, Carry It Over. There's another track on there that I really like. I like Slow Down a lot. No, that last track was just awesome. Waiting for Dark. I always look for a 45, maybe do like A, B side of a 45 with it, but I guess it never did.
82 and 83, the transition from going from Randy to Brad Gills and Jakey Lee, do you think it put a strain on Ozzy?
I think it really did, because I know for, in my mind, probably in Ozzy's mind, Sharon's mind, that there's a what if there. If Randy was still alive, what if it would have been really like? Kind of music would we have written together and stuff? Ozzy did a fantastic job. His band members did a fantastic job in the material that they released through these times. I don't think that he was really happy with these albums that he released. You don't hear him talk about Bark at the Moon nowadays. I never really heard him talk about it that much. I asked, is he happy with that transition? Is he happy with the material that he released and stuff? I know it really had to be really difficult for him in that time frame with the releasing Speak of the Devil and not being able to release live material with Randy Rhoads. And then that transition, Brad Gills. Man, this Brad Gills said, this isn't for me. I don't, this kind of music I don't want to play. He lost Brad Gills, and then he went looking for another guitarist. It had to be really rough and hard, that transition. And Jakey Lee come along, which, Bark at the Moon is a very good album, I think. I liked it. I still pick it up today and listen to it on my MP3 player. I love it. It's hard, it's heavy, ain't no doubt about it. Ozzy rules. Get it through your head. Everybody else drools.